I want to welcome everyone to the Youth Artist Exchange, which is the second part of our day. We are going to get the opportunity to hear from youth photographers who will share their work with you. I am so excited to be able to partner with ICP to have some of their amazing alum share their work. First and foremost, I would love to give credit to our amazing partners, Photo Wings. I have to just give a huge shout out to Photo Wings. Photo Wings brings all of our education programming to you. And so really excited to have them as one of our partners. Next is the Office of Media and Entertainment. I want to give a lot of love to them as well. And also Brooklyn Bridge Park. You got a chance to enjoy your pizza actually in one of their public spaces on that lawn area. So really excited to partner with them. And lastly, our Youth Artist Exchange is actually in Smack Mellon. So huge thank you to Smack Mellon Gallery. Looking forward to building with them more in the upcoming school year. And without further ado, I'm gonna pass this along to Katarina from ICP. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Corinne. I am Katarina from ICP. I'm the manager of youth programs at ICP, and I want to start it out with a few more thank yous. So first of all, thank you so much to the entire Photoville team, to Corinne, to Suchin, to Vincent, to Sam, Laura, Dave, everyone that's a part of it. Thank you so much. And thank you to our wonderful students and panelists today. We'll introduce them in just a sec. And thank you to all of you for making it out today, to the educators, the students, the families, the friends. You are who makes this possible as well. So thank you all for coming out today in celebration of community, in celebration of this next generation of creativity, which is all of you guys as well. So we are so excited to be here today to share the work of our panelists, who are all members of the year-long ICP Teen Academy Imagemakers program. They all also represent different partnerships with ICP. So ICP at the Point in the South Bronx, the High School of Fashion Industries, and the Seward Park campus in the Lower East Side. I am so in awe and admiration of you all. The past few years have been a time of vulnerability, honesty, collective strength, and thoughtful connection, to say the least. And I think I know now what they mean when they say that we grow through what we go through. So you all really continue to teach me that wherever we go from here, we can continue to go and grow together in community, creating our new norms as society continues to shift. So I invite you all to check out Teen Academy and ICP at the Point courses. There are still placements if you are in the Bronx or live anywhere near the Bronx. There's still placements in our summer courses, and our fall courses will be open for registration in about August at both ICP in the Lower East Side and ICP at the Point in the South Bronx. Be sure also to check out our ICP at the Point exhibition in Barretto Point Park as part of Photoville. It is called Beauty and Being, and it is in the beautiful Barretto Point Park area in the South Bronx. So if you're in the Lower East Side, be sure to also stop by the museum for our current exhibition, Love Songs, which is on view through September 11th. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce a phenomenal photographer, community advocate, and educator, alum of the ICP at the Point program, as well as the ICP one-year certificate program, and now lead faculty and moderator, Roy Baizon.
Thank you so much, Katarina. Thank you, Lacey. Thank you to all the Photoville team. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you to the teachers and staff that also make up this program. Without the collective efforts of everyone, we wouldn't be able to be here working on our stories, telling, growing together, as Katarina had said. I'll just do a quick, brief introduction to myself before I introduce these amazing storytellers. Again, my name is Roy. I'm a Mexican documentary photographer from the South Bronx. I myself started as a teen in the ICP at the Point program in Hunts Point. I remember coming in and being offered an opportunity that would absolutely change my life. A 10-week photography program that offers you the ability to develop your film, make prints, and really consider what your environment is and how you can engage with it critically has kind of paved the way for me to be able to do, to be here. Through that program, I started a Teen Academy where Delilah, Heather, and Fabian have also been a part of, which is another amazing program at ICP, now in the Essex side of Lower East Side. And that afforded me, even further support. Through those opportunities, I saw the real necessity to be able to, support this program because of the supportive environment that it provides, because it teaches you all these skill sets, and because I wanted to pass those opportunities forward. Now I'm very fortunate to be a staff member, a faculty member, teaching the same programs that have created such an impact for myself. And through that, to also engage in the stories of my community in the Bronx, back home in Mexico, and across the board, really. Today, right, I'm here to introduce these amazing storytellers. Here, let me bust out my notes real quick. It is in this spirit, and it is my pleasure to present our panelists, our next generation of storytellers, our change agents, really. And they'll introduce themselves, they will each show a body of work, and then we'll ask a series of questions, and then finally at the very end, we'll kind of open it up from questions from y'all, right? And I really encourage you to engage with them in their work as they are, again, very critical in their process, and I feel like we could all kind of build off of each other in this communal space. So I'll kind of go one by one and we'll go from there. First up, we have Delilah Ebanks. Delilah Banks is a mixed media artist and photographer based in the Bronx. She expresses how it feels to grow up while battling mental health, family, and societal pressures, giving her the ability to communicate without words. Delilah is inspired by the work of Daido Moriyama because of his uniqueness and the way he is able to show honesty in his subject. Her past projects include Deja Vu, the idea of reality versus dreams of a family, and many other smaller analog works. Her work was featured in a 2018 article of the New York Times, Beauty in the Bronx. Yo, give it up for Delilah, that's awesome. Shouts to you. Up next, we have Fabian Peña. Fabian Peña is a first-generation Mexican-American photographer from the Bronx. Shout out the Bronx, we're here today. He grew up on Fordham Road, where he first started his photography journey in middle school. He pursued photography when he entered the High School of Fashion Industries, working with both film and digital photography. He's currently a student at the ICP, and he does street photography, primarily in Manhattan. He's inspired by the photographers like Devin Allen, and that's me up there. Thank you, Fabian, I appreciate it. Very flattered. Fabian's goal is to amplify unheard voices and uses his photography as a tool to change and to create a better and safer society. Yo, give it up to Fabian. Last but certainly not least, we have Heather Lynch. Heather is a photographer and filmmaker born and raised in New York City. She's always been passionate about using her camera to empower those around her and deeply understand the complexities of beauty and representation. As a first-generation Trinidadian American living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Heather draws from her own experiences to honor her subjects, using her sacred lens to create a space where they are free of stereotypes and create their own identities. She is committed to shifting the misrepresentation of marginalized communities, starting with those in her own community. Her work is characterized by deep empathy for her subjects and a commitment to those representing them in a way that is authentic and empowering. Please give it up to Heather. I just want to quickly shout out, I love that you use sacred lens. That implies such a collaboration that sometimes is overlooked. It is sacred. It is a collaboration. It is something to be celebrated. So shouts to you for recognizing that. Now, to go back in order, right? We're going to start off with Delilah. Delilah's going to read her artist statement. We'll look at her work, and then we'll go from there.
So, hi guys, again, I'm Delilah. Loneliness can become hard to understand when you are surrounded by the ones you love. Through my photos, I wanted to depict the inner emotions that can be experienced, such as anxiety, depression, and isolation, and how this looks in real time. In most of my photographs, you see me clearly, but the people who I'm surrounded by do not have visible faces, portraying that I am not alone, but I feel lonely. By asking raw, intimate questions, I'm revealing the inner turmoil that can happen when loneliness and isolation begin to set in. The hands at the beginning and end of the project are trying to hold everything together so things stop falling apart, even though it's inevitable that they will. By not expressing any emotions in my face, I give the impression that I never truly understand how I feel about the situations at hand, and that I'm still trying to understand what new things mean to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Up next, we got Fabian Peña.
Hello, my name is Photoville Education. I'm 17, and my project is about machismo and its problematic ideology within the Hispanic community. The goal of my project is to show how machismo affects young children by going after the roots of the problem, which is child abuse and generational trauma. Additionally, I want to highlight problems with machismo in relationships, hoping to get victims of this abuse to speak up and break the normality of machismo after seeing my work. I want these macho men to look at my work and reflect on themselves, hoping they can realize the damage they've done and how much it affects their loved ones and how this ideology affected them as a child. Machismo is under the umbrella term misogyny, and what makes it a little different is just the fact that it's more commonly seen in the Hispanic community. There are different levels and extremes of misogynistic ideals, and it's seen with all ages and genders. What makes machismo dangerous is its normality. Machismo is in the household and is backed up and supported by a huge community. My goal is to open my community's eyes and to get them to understand that any kind of abuse is immoral and horrible. Machismo is a never-ending cycle that poisons our youth, and I hope I can reach kids my age to reject or unlearn these harmful values to improve the safety of our future children and loved ones.
Yo, thank you, Fabian. And then next we have Heather Lynch.
Hello, everyone. The name of my project is entitled Donna. It is named after my late mother. Okay. It is not uncommon for people to learn about femininity and the type of woman they want to become through their mothers. Observing your mother and how she navigates the world can be a powerful learning experience. For me, that experience was very unique because my mom passed away when I was 10, just days before my 5th grade graduation. Through much of my adolescence, I felt robbed of this mother-daughter experience and disconnected from her. I discovered my mother's enchanting modeling archive, and for the first time, I saw a Black woman depicted as way more than the stereotypes just placed among us. I saw my mother depicted as the queen she truly is, and from that day on, the young queen inside me began to blossom. As I dove deeper into my mother's archive, I began to truly step into my unique power. Culture is like a fabric of a family. It is woven together through shared experiences, traditions, and values. However, for many young Black women like myself, their cultural fabric has been corrupted by the media, which has become a dominant force in shaping their worldview. From early cinema to modern-day media, Black people are constantly bombarded with the images of tragedy, violence, and oppression placed among us. While it is important to highlight the struggles in the African American experience, an excess of this can be counterproductive. It can create a distorted image of one's sense of self and their place in the world, and often limit their foreseen potential. This is why it is crucial to challenge the harmful narratives that are perpetuated by the media and instead showcase the beauty in Blackness in all its forms. In this body of work, I wish to transport viewers out of this tragic reality and into another realm, one that is free of the collective entrapment in white mythologies, and where their wildest dreams and desires are tangible. The combination of tulle and cowrie shells and images are used to create a powerful and evocative symbols of maternal connection and femininity. Cowrie shells, which have been long associated with fertility, femininity, and protection in many cultures, are used to complement the ideas of the tulle and soft and translucent qualities as representations of the womb. This is meant to suggest that subjects are being protected and nurtured in a safe and sacred space. Using these layered symbols, I invite viewers to contemplate the importance of taking action in their own lives and communities in order to protect and empower Black women. By creating this body of work, I seek to honor Black women and create a cultural fabric that empowers them to embrace their unique identities and allows them to see themselves as powerful and beautiful beings that they truly are. By doing so, we can ensure that the next generation of Black women are equipped with the knowledge and strength to thrive in a world that often too seeks to hold them back. This work can serve as a source of inspiration and motivation for young women who may be struggling to find their place in the world that too often diminishes the value of Blackness. Thank you.
Yo, please give it up for them. That was incredibly powerful, beautiful, thoughtful, critical. So let's just, I guess, just jump right into it, right? I mean, the first question that I have for y'all is really kind of a why question, you know? I mean, you're tackling such kind of generational topics, and we'll talk about this kind of cycle of generations, but, you know, why did you choose to cover this? You know, why is this important to you in exploring this? You can kind of go around as you feel needing to.
I chose to tackle this. I chose to use this project as a platform to speak about Black women because I feel like we're often misrepresented in the media and in cinema. I grew up seeing Black women as either just completely misrepresented, and I seen a bunch of things that I never resonated with. And I wanted to use my platform to show women, Black women specifically, as regal and beautiful beings that I've learned through shadow work and healing that I really am. Yeah.
For me, I chose to make my work surrounding machismo mostly because I see it every day within my community and within my family. Thankfully, I was raised by a single mother, so I was never really indulged with machismo or its ideology at all. And it's safe to say that I was, I guess, raised right. But because of that, I see the problems with my uncles and even sometimes my father, who I rarely see. But I just hate the normality of it, as I stated in my statement. The fact that it's so normal is horrifying because it just leads our young men, even our women as well, down this pipeline that men are in control of everything. And if you see in one of my photos, the ones with the blue room, I distinctively chose that mostly because like blue dominates the entire room almost the way these men think they dominate the family. And that's just something that I don't stand for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's why I create my work. It's just to help my community just unlearn these values and yeah.
I chose to talk about isolation and loneliness to give it a platform because it's not really represented, at least for me, and as a person who went through it for a couple years of my life and is still continuously going through it, I feel as though there's no way for me to communicate or talk to people about it, and I'm a very big person on expressing myself through my images, so I thought, why not say what I want to say through an image? A lot of times in our generation, mental health is not really talked about due to the fact that our parents don't really see it as an issue, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. And I also wanted to give this platform because I have younger siblings and younger cousins who could go through what I'm going through or could go through something worse, and to know that they have someone in the family or someone there to give them a platform and give them a voice is really good to me.
Thank you, thank you. So across the board, from what I'm listening to, right, you're all kind of combating a sense like this normalcy that comes with the misrepresentation of Black women and femininity, the normalcy of machismo, right, the normalcy of creating spaces that are isolating and not creating community. That's not an easy thing to combat. Gordon Parks, a very famous Black photographer, once said that he used the camera as his weapon of choice, right, and he used it to combat many things, misrepresentation, racism, poverty, and so much more. But to combat things, it comes with challenges. What were some of the challenges that you were confronted with in the creation of these projects, and how did you overcome them? Did you overcome them? What does that look like for y'all?
In a lot of my childhood, I've faced a lot of internal challenges around being worthy enough and being, just being worthy enough to even be in spaces like this. So when I was around 16, I began doing lots of shadow work about being and saying like lots of affirmations to build myself up and build my character up, to realize that I'm worthy of all of the things that I want in life. So that was a huge challenge and a huge barrier that I had to overcome in order to even create a project like this, where women are seen as these ethereal beings instead of what's shown in the media.
For me, the challenges that I faced is, I guess, starting this body of work, mostly because, like, again, I was never really raised with this ideology. So I guess, like, the only people that I've seen have this ideology in my family is with my uncles and my, like, other distant families, not very, like, but yeah. And then so I guess just starting, because, like, and also I'm not a woman myself, so I don't really know what their experiences are like at firsthand. I can only see it from a second point of view. So what I did to help this out is interview students in my school of all like Hispanic communities, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Ecuadorian, you name it. And I simply asked them, like, what is life like at home? Like, what are some expectations you are seen to have? And just a lot of them is like this expectation of like just being able to, like, obviously it's normal to like know how to cook and clean, yes, but like it's the fact that you're already told to do it for someone else, not for yourself. And like, and yeah, I guess that's it. So like the way that I combated this is that, like, instead of, I guess, photographing a family that's like actually going through machismo, I kind of just did like sort of performative like photography. So I had my sister and her husband and my baby cousin, I guess, help perform these actions, because they know at first hand, since they're older, like what machismo looks like. But since then, my brother-in-law, he just unlearned them. So he never, he treats my sister right, pretty much. And my sister, she experiences through our uncles for years and years, since she's much older than me as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just combated it with interviewing people, making sure I get the experience right, and making sure I represent the experiences right. And yeah.
A challenge that I went through for my project was not wanting to be seen as weak or vulnerable, because a lot of times when you try and discuss mental health, it's brought about with you're weak or you shouldn't be talking about this. But I wanted this to be shown as a sense of strength, as I am going through these things, but look at what I've done, look at what I'm doing, look at me as a person, I'm still standing. And I also didn't want this to just be about me, because yeah, I'm going through stuff, but so are all my friends and my family. So I kind of made this a friend project and a family project, and I involved my friends, and I said, hey, I'm doing this project, and I explained it to them, and I said, I want you to do this. And at first they were like, why, and this is weird and stuff like that, but once I explained it, they realized how much power I was trying to give to this. And I also involved my little sisters. A lot of the bathroom shots, me hanging out of a bathtub or me leaning against the wall, are taken by my younger sisters. So it's kind of a way for us to communicate with each other, and a way for me to express my work and for them to understand the movement and the change I'm trying to make.
Wow, thank you. You know, in y'all talking about your challenges, you know, none of this was ever done alone, right? Because you can't do that entirely, take on the weight of these things by yourself. You know, I think from Delilah, you know, bringing your friends on and being vulnerable enough to tell them, like, you know, this is why I want to bring power to this photograph or this photographic series, to then bring your sister in and making these photographs of you in a bathroom where you're like experiencing this feeling, you know, you're still making the work with someone else, even though you're navigating this. You know, Fabian, you're bringing in your family into reenacting and creating these images that are establishing these dynamics of machismo, right? Machismo that doesn't just affect women, it affects men too. It is también for them, you know. I mean, they're negating themselves from a feeling in these photographs, you know. For someone to point at someone and laugh at them isn't just like an act of single person. It takes someone to like deny those feelings that they felt themselves to do that, you know. But by you saying, listen, I love you enough to show you that you're doing this, you're kind of bringing that to the forefront, right? And then maybe they take that and run with it. Maybe they reject it. I mean, it seems like your brother-in-law kind of maybe took a moment to analyze that and say, you know, that's not how I want to be, right? But you still brought in your family and said, like, listen, come on this journey with me. It's not going to be easy, but we'll come away with something, you know? Heather, you brought in your friends. You made a portrait of yourself at the very end of the sequence, but that was building up with moments where people are holding themselves, their hands. Everyone's interconnected. You're building community. So, you know, I build all this up, right, to ask, you know, what has been the community response, right, from your collaborators? What have they said about the making of these images, and, you know, what is that? How has that impacted your view on the making of these images or photography, I think, in general?
So it's impacted my family a lot because in a lot of images, in the ones that are scanned, my mother is in them. And a lot of my family haven't seen my mother in so long, especially depicted in this way, because a lot of us remember her sick. So it was very emotional for my family to see what I've taken away from my mother's legacy. And it was very emotional for the models themselves to see themselves depicted in this way. A lot of them have never even modeled and never thought of seeing images of them depicted like this. So yeah, it was just emotional for everyone, including myself, to create this body of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're giving the power back to the person that's being photographed, which is something that, you know, I think in the greater kind of canon of photography is not always the case. Maybe sometimes people get photographed, but there's a photo that's taken, not made, and you're making these photographs with your families and your friends, you know, even going back a generation, saying, I'm gonna collaborate with my mom, and that power of collaborating together, I think, is so important. I mean, what are your thoughts on this process for you, Delilah and Fabian, please?
I think my work did what I wanted it to do. It made people ask questions, and it made people take a step back and say, wow. And it was very jarring for people to see, so it definitely opened up questions in my family. Like when I showed my mom this work, she was very confused and she didn't really know where I was going with it. And I kind of like just was like, this is my idea and this is what I wanted to do. And I even explained it to my younger siblings, and they were like kind of still confused, but they were kind of like, I understand where you're going. And so in a way, this project just kind of opens everyone to ask the questions that nobody wants to ask. And that was my motive, just ask me questions, ask the questions, ask each other the questions that you guys all think we're scared to ask.
On par for that, Delilah, I also got like a lot of questions on my project as well. A lot of my family like questioned why I was doing this as well, and I like, why is this important? Because again, they see it as normal. They see it as like, this is fine. And in a way, like, yes, this housewife life is okay if you choose to do so. A woman should never be forced to be into this lifestyle. And also once it affects her mental and physical health, that's when it's not okay. In terms of how my community reacted towards my project, I got a lot of mixed feelings. With my immediate family, my sister, my brother-in-law, my brother, my mom, they saw it as a positive. They loved it. They loved the idea of me attacking this ideology and sort of putting a spotlight on it and making it shine in its just harmful ideology. I got some anger from some of my uncles and other Hispanic men saying, "You're making us look bad," or like they just think I'm spewing nonsense. And again, within my artistry, I said I want these macho men to reflect on themselves and ask themselves, why do I feel this way? Or why do I feel angry? Why am I upset at seeing this work? Is it because you're upset that it exists, or are you upset because you've done it? You actively act on this ideology. And I've also gotten some humorous remarks of my work, saying that a lot of these macho men, they don't see the problem at all, which is saddening. So they just think it's like a funny project that I did. But then that's when I like sit down and talk to them, saying like, no, this is what I'm actually trying to do. And in a way, they're still confused, and I can understand, considering how they've just, again, this is generational, they've been taught this since birth. And I guess they don't understand that, I guess, since we are in New York, a place of change, a place of advocacy and just social upbringing, they don't see how staying in this mindset affects them in future generations. And I hope as I create more work, I can help my community as a collective understand that this is a harmful ideology. And yeah.
Yeah, I want to bring something up, and if you don't mind, for me to reference the class that we had. Fabian was in one of the classes where we were making work, and I think I had challenged y'all to go out and to make photographs, but to talk to people. And you came back with a photograph of your cousin, and I was like, well, how did you make that photograph? And you were like, oh, I asked them to sit here and to kind of project this feeling, right? And we had a conversation about this dynamic that we had talked about just now, about collaborating and how one gets to represent themselves. And one thing that I really appreciate about what you took from that conversation and how we navigated from here and how you then took it on yourself to make this, is that you were like, this is a criticism of not just myself, but then it's a criticism to them. And through this kind of criticism, self-criticism, we can kind of really dive and peel apart what we're actually trying to say. And in doing that, you kind of give way for people to have these uncomfortable conversations and for them to also respond to your process. So you brought this whole collaboration 180, and now, whether your family is, accepting of how they actually act day in, day out, you told them like, I love you enough, and to show you that this is how you navigate this. This is the point from where we start a conversation and change, or we don't. And that's very powerful to do as well. So kudos, también. At the very beginning, we had everyone kind of referenced maybe photographers that they were, inspired by. Is there any that maybe you would like to speak to in this process, right? That were particularly influential in maybe your theory, in the way that a lot of you use color to convey emotion, storytelling. Yeah.
For me, Tyler Mitchell is one of the photographers that really inspired my work. At the ICP, he had an exhibition called I Can Make You Feel Good, and that experience was so transformative, because for the first time I was introduced to the idea of a Black utopia, which is an alternative reality free of all the stereotypes and heteronorms placed upon us, and a place for us to make our own, to just be, and be happy, be proud of ourselves, and be our vibrant and beautiful selves. And so when seeing this work, it caused me to think about the way that I photograph and the types of things that I want to depict in my photographs, which is what led me to this work this body of work that I made here.
That was such a beautiful exhibit. I remember a few of us had stepped into the museum, and there was like a little couch with a visual display on top, and a few of us just cried because there isn't spaces for Black folks to sit down or for people of color to sit down and not have like a system of oppression kind of going at you. And it's reflected in your work. Yeah, wonderful reference.
I kind of drew from Dado Moriyami with my work because his work is very raw and not pretty in a sense. Like, his job is not to make you feel good with his work or for you to look at the image and be like, oh, that's a nice image, and walk away. His job is for you to look at the image and just sit there for a second with yourself and with others around you and really question what this is for you. And for me, his photos never meant one thing. They always meant like 3 different things for me. And that's kind of what I wanted my photos. I wanted my photos to resonate different things for everyone and hopefully resonate different things within everyone so that it's just not pretty anymore. Because a lot of photos you look at, it's like, oh, pretty person, pretty model, pretty flower, whatever. But anybody can do that. Anybody can look at something and make it pretty. But how do you look at something and make it ugly in a sense?
If I can just quickly ask, I also know that you're a bit of a writer yourself. Not to put you on the spotlight, but I think those kind of crafts are super important and inform the way that we work, apart from a photographer. And I'll bring this back kind of around, not just to writers or artists, but is there like a writer that you were reading, or is there a musician, an artist that you were listening to that sometimes like soundscapes can kind of help inform the images?
I mean, I listen to different music, I guess. I listen to like rock music because, of course, rock music's great. And like Melina Martinez, I don't know if you guys know who she is, but all of her songs have a meaning. And when you first listen to them, you're like, wow, that's a good song, good beat, good lyrics. But then second time around, it's like, oh, she's talking about eating disorders or public embarrassment or being put on display. And that kind of resonated with me because I was like, I've gone through a couple of these things, but for you to put it into a song and it to be out to everyone, anybody can listen to it, but you have a really big message to say.
Yeah, Fabian?
For me, I never really had like the privilege to like research other photographers as much as growing up. But since coming to ICP, I've had amazing teachers, including Roy and my other teacher, Killer Joseph, Devin Allen. They've all inspired me to look into political photography and be the change you want to see, essentially. And this is my first time really doing something, I guess, political or like socially provoking, I guess, in society. And so yeah, and Killer Joseph, my teacher of the ICP Imagemakers program, he inspired me with his flower project. Was just the whole point of it was to uplift Black women by giving them flowers out in the street and spewing beautiful messages such as like Black women are beautiful, and just giving affirmations to just his community. And with that, I made my own phrases that were like on par with his, which is "You're not a macho man," and just like I guess mocking these men that believe that they're better than everyone, that they're above their family, and that they have this, I guess, grip on their home. Yeah, and yeah.
Thank you for like letting us into your process. I can keep going with questions. I have no problem, but I do want to pass the mic forward to the audience, just in case anyone might have a question for them about their photos, their process, their thoughts. Please feel free to raise your hand, put forth an idea, a comment, questions. We'll accept it all.
Hi. I have a question for you. I was wondering about some of the pictures that you took. They had like a kind of like something like over it, and I was wondering like what that was and like what made you want to do that.
So the piece of cloth that is over the models in these images are tulle, which I use to create a maternal connection because I've went through a lot of myself feeling disconnected from my mother. So I wanted to reimagine the models in the womb of my mother, and I felt like this depicted what a womb looks like to me the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like your artwork a lot, and I don't do like shadow work like you, but recently I've been doing a lot of like affirmations to myself also, embracing my femininity too. So I really like your stuff. I feel like it resonates with me. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Please feel free to come up to the front. We'll give you the mic. Please don't be shy. Yep, come through, come through, come through.
Hiya, I'm Sal, and I really liked all of your artwork because for me, photography is a thing that like it's speaking with just more than words. It's also with like symbolism and colors, and I love how you guys like manipulated each of them for each of your tones. Like for you, when you were talking about anxiety and depression, it was dark, like it was like low exposure, but there was also like you can feel like the rawness of it, like you were talking about, and like the words on the hands or like the words on the wall, the different poses that you used. I really liked how it was you in and of itself, but it was also like showcasing so you can connect to other people. Because I feel like as a generation, we like talking about like mental health and stuff, but it's really hard to talk with like older generations about like things, which directly connects to you about how political things like intertwine with our everyday life. And because I went to like middle school for like 3 years in a very predominantly Hispanic community, so I can say that it's prevalent and stuff. And I think we need to speak out on a lot of things that we think as normal and stuff. And one of my favorites was like the kid with the teddy bear like still hanging on to their childhood, or how blue is a very prevalent color and we associate it with sadness, but it was also very powerful in the fact that it overtook the room, so I really enjoyed that. And lastly, for your work, I love the mix of pink for femininity, but also the gold aspects to show like royalty, and how the outfit that you have right on is like kind of connected to your photography, and the necklace that was showing. Oh, it came up a bunch of times, so I appreciate you guys' art because I'm starting to get into photography little by little at my school, and I am really excited to like start to incorporate a bunch of stuff that I'm learning here today. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, thank you. Do we have any other questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, proposals for collaborations? Sorry. Here, we'll keep it here.
Um, oh my gosh. I wanted to ask about the lighting for all of y'all's, because each lighting had a different mood, different vibe to it, like a different emotion, and I loved it. Like,
I guess I'll start.
oh, okay. It was about the lighting, the mood and the vibe that it gave each of them. The colors and the lighting just popped. It made the picture just eat.
I guess I'll start. For my photos, I wanted to go from lighter to darker and kind of represent like how emotions have that kind of thing. So you'll see like in the ones by myself, it's a little bit brighter and the lighting's a bit better, but I also wanted to use like low mood lighting to represent like isolation and kind of be by myself. I didn't want anything to be too bright or too overexposed because brightness represents like happiness to me, and this project wasn't really meant to represent happiness.
For me, I guess I just wanted to keep it dark and just like more of like a moody scenario in general, mostly because like when I did these interviews with these girls, and I also interviewed a few men as well, they said like whenever they were around their fathers, they just felt like a really powerful presence, but it wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't like it wasn't like it's inspiring. It was more like, oh, like what is gonna happen? Like what's gonna happen if I do this? What's gonna happen um, if I don't clean up this, if I don't put my cup in the sink, or like if I don't wash something, if I don't clean the bathroom. So I guess like just to keep that moody scene, I guess. For me, I guess like more of a major thing rather than lighting is composition and how it goes a long way. So everything that's on the frame is there on purpose. Like this, like that's I guess like that's some advice I would give to y'all. Like composition is key. Whether it's like a corner of a table or like a strand of hair, whatever is in your photo will change the photo. So yeah.
For me, I did my project in a studio, so the lighting for my photos are pretty neutral. What I really used to evoke feelings were the colors. I used the tan backdrop and the brown cloth to show just a goddess-like state that they were in. I wanted it to be nude to match with their skin tones, and to take away from less of the outfit and more of like who the person is and what they have to show.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? I said proposals for collaborations. I'm going to say assignments for them. Yeah, come through. If you have a question, just go. So the question was, what age did you get into photography? When did you take your first photograph, age-wise?
For me, it was in middle school, around 6th grade. My teacher his name was Christopher Bailey, and we started with the most generic one, still life. So, and I just gradually progressed to where I'm at now.
I joined ICP at the point when I was 11. It was a club that was there. And so I just thought it was a fun hobby, like, ooh, pick up a camera, darkroom, like, film and stuff like that. I thought it was really fun. And now I'm on a panel, so wow, time flies.
I took my first photograph when I was around maybe 14. I started taking classes at ICP, and I did this class called Inward, which was a class that it prompted us to look inward and think deeply about who we were and what we bring to society, and just like who we were as people. And that was a very transformative experience because I seen myself for the first time looking deeply into things that I never thought I would. So yes, that was my first project.
Love it, love it. So I think we're beginning to kind of wrap up, but I do want to put forth maybe like a two-part question, right, to kind of set things off. I kind of spoken to each of you collectively, about how you're all tackling, generations and generations of machismo, of isolation sometimes, the normalization of these things, generational grief. In doing so, that's not an easy thing, and we had kind of spoken to the collaborative nature of tackling some of these, themes. But now I want to ask you, how do you give yourself grace and, make sure that you're doing well in the creation of these projects, right? Because I feel like sometimes we see photographers and we see their projects as like a fully done thing, and, we celebrate it. But what is it for you to take care of yourself in the process of making this, and because without it, you couldn't continue, right? So how do you take care of yourself in this process?
I think being able to laugh a little, knowing that not every photo is going to come out perfect, especially when you work with film, be prepared to just sit there for a second and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a photographer. Just be able to laugh at yourself and be able to laugh at the situation, but then also remember that you're not alone in whatever you're fighting, and also remember who you're fighting for. I'm not just fighting for me and mental illness. I'm fighting for my siblings and my cousins and my best friends who have gone through the same things. I have twin siblings, 2 younger girls, and they're 13, meaning that they're gonna start going through whatever I was going through. They're gonna start going through boys and everything else that comes with being a teenager. So just remember who you're fighting for. Remember why you did this, and just laugh. Pick up the camera and take a funny picture. Spend the day running around Central Park and take them photos. Just laugh.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, give it up. You spoke right into the second part is, what do you hope to pass on? So thank you for passing that along with everything else you've given us tonight. Fabian?
For me, I mean, I don't know. I don't really struggle internally with when I was doing this project, because I guess a way that I give myself grace is just by remembering where I come from. Like I stated before, I was raised by a single mother, so I guess like in a way, I just like remember who I am and like who raised me, and just be thankful and grateful that I had such a beautiful and caring mother to guide me to where I'm at now. And yeah.
And what would you like to pass forward, right? This is like, what advice do you have for the next generation?
Stand by this quote. If you can help someone, help someone. And that's it.
So, a way I gave myself grace while making this project was just like you said, Delilah, remembering where I come from and who I'm doing this for. A lot of the reasons why I am where I am right now is because of those who came before me and depicted women that look like me in beautiful ways, like the photographers that inspire me. So just remembering what I'm doing this for was something that helped give myself grace along the way, because I did have challenges during this. And something that I wish to pass on is never stop creating, always keep shooting, even if you don't have an assignment, even if you're not in school for photography, even if you're going on a walk in the park, just shoot. Take as many pictures as you can and hold these memories close to your heart, because they're important.
Thank you so much. Please give it up. And with that being said, that's kind of the conclusion. I just also want to remind y'all that, just as much as they've been sharing with us, that, if you have a camera, and we all do in our pocket with our phones and disposable cameras, I mean, the access to photography and cameras are so widespread. Don't forget that you too have a story to share, right? Like, these cameras are your weapon of choice. You could use this along with any other craft to go out there, talk to your neighbors, tell your stories, and combat a lot of these things that isolate us, right? Because this is what it sometimes is. So keep building community, keep telling your story, and don't forget that, that your voice matters. You all matter. So thank you.
Yes, a round of applause, a round of applause. Yes, round of applause. This truly is the power of visual storytelling. This makes a connection to ourselves as individuals, but our community. And you using the words of Gordon Parks, a choice, your camera as a weapon. In a time where we are being challenged with our histories being wiped out of books, media, it is important for us to feel seen and heard. Your camera phone, which is right in your pocket, to your point, is that tool, or a digital camera, or poetry, creative writing. So I just want to hammer home that point, that each and every one of you, I'm so proud of you, your intentionality, the heart that you put into your work, the nuance. I am so impressed by you. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, your projects with us. And I also want to give a huge thank you to ICP. Thank you so much to the staff. Let's give them a round of applause that partnered with us for this youth panel, all of the individual panelists, our moderator, such intentional and great questions to your youth participants. And lastly, I want to say thank you to everyone, our volunteers, our media team, docents, everyone. Thank you so much. And I'll end with giving a really huge shout out to our partners, education partners, Photo Wings, NYC Media and Entertainment, Brooklyn Bridge Park, and lastly, Smack Mellon, who provided this amazing facility for us to have our youth panel this year. Thank you and have a great afternoon.